Okay, we've got it ready to go here. One thing I want to point out, that in the Baker video it doesn't show you much. This is the race that you have to get off of that main shaft. Okay, and you don't really get to see, this is the bearing that's in the case. Okay, so this is the inner race for it, see here. And this is the one that actually will fit right down here on this shaft, see? So when you slide your primary in. Now the new bearing that it gives you, bear with me guys, this is the new bearing, and this is the high torque bearing, right here. So you're going to take this bearing, you're going to remove that bearing, and you're going to push this bearing in there. And this is the new seal for the outside, which is over here. See? So this is the new bearing. It'll be your snap ring. I'd be able to use that snap ring over. I'm not concerned about that. But anyhow, so this is that new bearing. It replaces this straight roller with a sealed bearing. They call it the high torque bearing. So with this bearing, you don't need to worry about this thing walking out, that race, walking in. So that's why they went with this sealed bearing. So that's the difference there, so you know. And I also want to share this. There is a special tool for pulling that race off. This is a Harbor Freight split bearing puller. And it kind of works like this. And you put this thing behind it, behind the bearing, and you squeeze it. And that's what we did. We put it behind that race. Okay? On the shaft with this. And now this, and it came right off. Well, not right off, it was tough. Just like, you know, they said it is. But this thing comes with these legs, see? And it actually makes it long enough to come all the way out here to the end of the shaft. Now what we did do was we went ahead and put this back on here to help, because this is hollow where your clutch rod goes through, just to give this little thing here a little more reinforcement. Okay, and then I went ahead and put a little, like a hard flat washer on here, because the puller bolt that it gives you has this on the end. Okay, which if you look at it won't really fit it. You know, I don't like the way that fits in there. So we put a big washer on here. I actually have another puller that I used its foot on it. And then, but with the threads of this on there, see, this, you can screw this on either way. It goes on this way, but you can screw it on backwards to reinforce it. And then with that on there, we were able to pull it right out. That bearing pulled, that split puller fit behind there, pulled right out. So now here's something for you all to see. This is my belt, okay? And if you look at it, see how it's all sawed on the one side? Instead of being flat like here, over here how it's all rounded off. Okay, that's because it was rubbing on this piece of plastic in here, right there. And believe it or not, this soft little piece of plastic had been rubbing on this primary belt, my main drive belt, and actually sawed that belt down like that. Is that unbelievable, that little piece of plastic? So now, I'm going to have to pull the tire and change this belt before I go all together with it. So, because I'm not putting it back on like that. But isn't that unbelievable that that little piece of plastic did that? Right there, little damn piece of plastic. Sawed my belt off. So now, something to look out for, fellas. Just thought I'd bring it to you, and there it is. It's ready. It's late now. My kid got out here and really slowed everything down. So, but I've got it this far, and then tomorrow I'll go ahead and pull the cartridge out. Probably fly down and get a new belt, because before I can button everything up, I've got to put the belt on, because you got to take all this off to change that belt. So I'm definitely not going back with that thing. So now that's where it's at, guys. I did go ahead and take this cover off, and I looked at my stator. It looks good. So I'm going to call it quits for tonight, but that's where we're at on our, it is a job, let me tell you, it's a big job, and you got to, you know, kind of have your wits about you to do it. I don't recommend it for a dummy with a rough set of hand tools. You gotta have your know-how. You gotta have a snap-on. Well, you gotta have snap-on, but you gotta have some tools. You gotta kind of, you know, have general mechanical know-how. So far, it's nothing really hard. A lot of Torx, a lot of Allens. Everything's American except for a couple of metric 10 millimeters on the battery, and I think there was something metric on the starter, but other than that, it's all U.S. And except for my Harbor Freight puller, I took some metric bolts to tighten those up. But I'll tell you what, that cheap little split puller, that thing wasn't even that much. I think it was only like 15 bucks for that puller, and it worked. And I'll tell you what, I looked at that puller they make just for that bearing, and it was huge money. And this puller comes with all of this, you know, and I've got it to use on multiple stuff like this. These things are great to have anyhow, any kind of time you want to pull a bearing. Front end work or stuff, you know, it's more gear work and stuff, but you'll use it. Plus it gives you a lot of attachments, you know, for any other kind of pulling jobs you may have. And I have some pullers now, so it's a good complement to those. But anyhow, fellas, there we are. Tomorrow the cartridge goes in. So, and there's the battle damage. Everything tore apart. Got everything laid out. There's my clutch basket and my compensator and everything. Primary. So we'll be going together with it tomorrow, and we'll check in there. Okay, don't let the time on this video scare you. I've been really cruising through this, and I also have my rear wheel off, you know, because I needed the new belt, and I'm going to put new bearings in it, in my rear axle, so, and new axles and seals, because as you can see, I have a classic. It's been slinging grease, so the bearing seals are leaking. I'm just going to put new seals in it. I tried to get me some sealed bearings for that, but I couldn't find them. I know they're out there. Harley guy even told me he sold them, but he couldn't find me the kit. So anyhow, this actually works. I didn't know. I figured it was just a transducer, just change it. But you actually push this button if you need to up your speed a little bit, and like so you get, I guess, somebody matching you at 55, and then you just cruising into 55, and then you would change your thing with a button up, or if you're going too fast, you go down. So it's actually an adjustable deal. This plug is underneath behind the battery box, so I guess I'm going to have to snake this thing out somewhere to fit, somewhere where I can get to it while I'm going down the road. And anyhow, that's what that deal is. Otherwise, everything's good, guys. Everything's going good. Like I said, I've been cruising, took my time. Once I found the belt pad and had to get the rear wheel, and I kind of slowed it all down. So anyhow, fellas, thanks for watching. When I get the, I'm going to go ahead right now and put that new pawl in and make my park pawl adjustment, you know, over here where it goes between the forks, you know how that. All right, this is a quick update. I had the top cover on. I got held up because of this shift pawl over here. This is the factory pawl right there. This is the fat pawl that it gives you to go with a longer chain. And this is the stock one. Now this pawl won't go in here because as you torque it, it falls into this groove here in the back. See it? And it'll end up doing this to it. It ends up pulling it out and springing it open like this, see? Where it ends up looking like that. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, we'll end up doing this thing here. Like this. So I called Baker and let them know what's going on, what's the story with this. They told me that most everybody was at Sturgis, so they looked into it, and to use the Baker Fat Foot, you can also flip this around Like, I guess you turn this thing around, right? But I don't want to do that. And then you'd put your foot in here like this, I guess. But I don't want to do that because I don't want to, I'm afraid of where it's going to land in the door. I mean, it may be okay for my adjustment door. It'd probably be fine. But I'd rather not chance it. So I'm going to go ahead and have them send me the right foot, which they said no problem. They're sending it to me, no charge. They were really cool. I talked to guy JT back there. Poor bastard didn't go to Sturgis. James got to go. So anyhow, so JT was really cool. He hooked me up with that. But you know, there you go. I was delayed on putting the primary together. Now I can put the primary on, but something stopped me from putting the primary on. I'm also getting the stainless steel truss right here. Okay, because when I talked to James originally, one of the things I wanted to do was change that, and I didn't get it. So they're going to hook me up with that as well. The new belt's on. I had to get the new belt. Now, what I did here, I just want to kind of point this out to you guys. This is the one that came with the Baker kit. Okay, as you can see, it's an Eccentric. If you look at it, see how it's off-centered? Let me take it over here in the cardboard. If you look at it, it's off-centered. Okay, it's not centered. So I went ahead and put it in. This is the factory one. Now, evidently a lot of the factory ones don't have an Eccentric. They have a straight pin. And Baker needs an adjustable one. Now, this is my factory one. Now, I had already put this in. That's why my top cover is back off the tranny. I had already put this in, but it's an Allen head. Okay? And now this one here has a hex head on it. Okay? Big deal, you say? Well, here's the problem I have with it. Otherwise, I looked at it. It's identical offset. One's a hex, one's Allen. This is OEM. I talked to JT. He said, you're okay. As long as you have an adjustable Eccentric, you can use the factory. Now, my problem is this. Once this primary is on, that's about how much room you have to get in there. There's no way you'd ever get a Allen head on that. Just say you had to adjust it down the road for any reason. Once you put the primary and everything on, you won't be able to get in there. See, you don't have the clearance. See, this is about all the clearance you have. You know, once you put that plate on there, you don't have anything. So rather than going with an Allen, I'm going to go with this. And then this leaves me this little 1/4-inch hex that's out here. So I can always come in here down the road and adjust this without having to pull my primary. So what I did was I took it back apart. And I'm going to go ahead and put this one in, the OEM one, which is an Eccentric. I'm going to put it in, and that way down the road I need to get in there, I can. So I just thought I'd point that out. Otherwise, everything's gone real good with the Baker. You know, they were really good when I called them and told them what my problem was. I really like the way the new foot looks, because if I take this apart and show you this, give me a second, fellas. If I take this apart, I'll show you the difference in the feet. Okay, once I take this off, okay, see how the Baker one has the slot in the middle of it? This is factory. This is the Baker one. See how it's opened up in the middle? This one's just the bolt holes. The new part that this fits in is actually tongued, just like this hole. So this thing will sit on a tongue. So it's actually giving it a little bit of movement in there. A little bit of movement to float around in there. Just a skosh, you know. But I kind of like that deal, you know. So I'm really anxious to get that in there too. And give me a little bit, it'll give me new foot. I have a little wear on here. Nothing really to be worried about. It's fine. But just give me a little more float and go with the cool upgrade. So that's what happened as far as getting the new gear, the new chain on and everything. Because I've got to put it over everything. So anyhow, that's where I'm at. Kind of held up. I've got everything cleaned. I will make a note on this here. Put my Loctite out of the way. I will make a note on this right here. I got my primary all cleaned up. New seal here. New seal here. This bearing here, the high torque bearing, is actually held on. It's actually centered in the case. So you actually have a snap ring, which is like right here is your snap ring. And then on the other side, I've already got the seal on. You can't see it. There's another snap ring just like this. Okay, so this bearing is actually centered in this housing. Okay, I was able to drive the old one out, but it was pretty tight, and I didn't like doing it. I'm worried about my case. I don't want to crack anything. So when I went in with this, I knew I was going to have to drive it. I also did not want to have to end up jacking up my new high torque bearing. So I did was I was able to find. I got 2 steering wheel pullers, one on this side to support it, and then I found a plate that I had that fit right on this side. I was able to push it in, so I squeezed the 2 steering wheel pullers together. I lube them up real good with Never Cease. I pulled it in flush, and then I had a socket that fit just absolutely perfectly in the bore and right on the outer race of the bearing. And I was able to just slowly turn it in. And what I did first was I put this snap ring in. I had taken them both out. I put this snap ring in first, and then I pressed it in till it hit this snap ring, and then I was able to go in here and just put the other snap ring in. Then I went ahead and put my new seal in after I put a little grease on it. So it went in good, but let me tell you, you're going to have to, it's got to be pressed in. Don't start trying to drive on it. You crack your case or you break the bearing. So that's what's going on with that new seal here. For the Bendix, I got the new seal here. I got everything cleaned up, and so I'm going to be ready to go. One thing I did get was I did get a Baker primary kit. Ordered it. James hooked me up on this bad boy. This comes with all my primary gaskets that I need. Cover, inspection cover, and of course the cover itself. Also came with some new locks. Totally cool. This seal here, I'm not sure what it goes to. It doesn't go to my bike. This is a new seal for that primary bearing I just showed you. So I'm going to have an extra one of these. Give me this cool little box. And then this seal here must be for a different application because it's not for mine. And so anyhow, that primary kit was really nice too. And then, oh yeah, and on this thing here, I ended up looking online at what this thing is. How this deal actually works, this calibrator, is you get someone next to you. Actually, hold on, let me pause. Okay, I got the housing all cleaned up. Gasket surfaces are all clean, and I installed the main drive gear and the bearing. My friend Paul, friend of mine, with Street Rider in Reno, Nevada, was good enough to lend me a couple of tools that I was able to make work and install this drive bearing. And I got the snap ring in and made sure it's in, and then was able to push this in, and we got smooth operation. So everything's good here. We're real careful not to damage this inner seal right here that's already in it, because you're running that threads through here. So but we're getting ready to now. We're going to do the park ball here, put the new park ball in it and get it ready, and then we're going to go ahead and stab the tranny in. But this is where we're at right now, and it's going together. You are going to have to figure out what you got to do on this. Now I was fortunate enough to get some tools. The Harbor Freight tool, like I showed you, was able to pull the inner race off. But for this here, this bearing, it should slide right in, but if it even gets a little cattywampus, we were able to use an installer and pull it in real nice. But this gear, when it goes into this inner race here, it goes in pretty good. You need to have something to install it in there, and fortunately, and you can't just push, get a big spacer here, because then you're putting pressure on this race here, and that'll damage your roller bearings, as you see here around on the outside. So you've got to get something that's going to push on this race as you push this shaft in, so that you support this as you pull this. And we were able to make do with a socket, and I actually was able to use the drive socket that I bought to take this nut off. Actually fits perfectly over that right up against this race, and pulled it in golden, no problems at all. So that is the only thing you got to worry about, and we're getting ready to go together. Next step, you'll see the tranny in there. All right, gentlemen, this is the finale. The bike's all done. The baker's in it. I just got back from a trip to California. I put about 500 real hard miles on it. I'll tell you what, it's phenomenal. I really love it. The bike ran flawlessly. The transmission shifted effortlessly. That 5-6 combination when you're pulling hard. Now, I live in Reno, Nevada, so I went over the Sierras to California and did a bunch of riding in California with my buddy. And I got to tell you something, guys. This transmission is awesome. I'm real happy with it. That 6th gear is just quite the overdrive. I know they have an OD 6-speed, but I'll tell you what, this direct drive is just fine. Plenty of top end. Really drops down the fuel economy. All the things came together. I think I'm going to go ahead and make another preliminary adjustment on my chain, my primary chain in there. Double check my rear belt. But let me tell you guys, it really ran good, and I'm very happy with it. I did have the snafus. I tried to share some of those, but the bike's running good. I had to get a new clutch cable. And from all the problems I had, and they weren't really problems, they're just things that happen, you know. I have to say that I'm real happy with the Baker, and I suggest, you know, if you do it, you know, you got to have some wits about you. You got to be a little mechanical. It was quite, I'm very happy. Well worth it. It's like riding a new motorcycle. So, when it's all said and done, there's the Baker in my Road King. And, awesome. Just awesome. Real happy with it. So, I want to thank you guys for watching. And, I know it was a little sketchy, the video, but it is what it was, and it's a done deal now. The battle damages. It's back to the regular garage now. And, you know, there's the remnants of everything I took out of the 5-speed and changed, and it's even got a dead clutch cable on it, which, you know, I was going to get a longer one. I got a lot of adjustment in it, but I'll tell you, it's golden. Very happy with it. So anyhow, guys, we'll go back over here. We'll take a gander at what that DD6 box looked like, and we'll tell you thanks for watching.